Guys, okay, so I wrote in and I asked you guys to submit your funniest Disney park stories, and you guys definitely came through. I thought I was gonna get 5, maybe 10. I got 174. So I obviously cannot read all of them, but I will skim through here and then maybe make a part 2 since there are so many. The first one says, I was at Mickey's Halloween party and we were getting on Space Mountain and I didn't feel very well, so I held on to my treat bag just in case. And it's a good thing I did, because as soon as the ride stopped, I started puking and caught it all in my treat bag. My boyfriend knew there was something wrong because I wasn't making any noise on the ride. At Disneyland, my son told Pocahontas that him and his school took a field trip and they saw her grave. I'm sorry. We were at the Kitchen Cabernet. My mom was on a scooter at the rear of the theater. I was wearing a tube top and my strapless bra was creeping down. Just as I had my hand pulling it down, my mom leaned on her scooter horn. The whole room turned to see me and my hand down my tank top. My daughter was so excited to see the Disney princesses that she jumped up and sliced my nose open with her nails. I started gushing blood everywhere. The princesses were all stunned. I was trying so hard not to cry because it freaking hurt, so I just ran off quickly to the bathroom. My son asked for an American hot dog while in America. My daughter has a problems with trash cans at Disney jumping out in front of her. Once we were leaving World of Color, it was late. We were getting to the restrooms across from Soaring. There is a big smoking area just before we get to the restroom. Bam! She runs straight into the trash can. Loudly, she says, "Did you see that?" It jumped right out and tried to attack me. About 4 or 5 people started choking on their cigarettes. Hey, anything with Disney and a trash can is an honor. I have pictures of myself with Disney-themed trash cans. So a cast member had just finished taking my pictures of me and my sister in front of Mickey's house in Walt Disney World, back when they still had it. Anyways, right after, in front of the cast member, I fell on my face and got my family free pass to Big Thunder Mountain. So you fell on your face and you got your whole family fast passes. Sounds like you took one for the team. A seagull stole my ice cream cone mid-lick. I was so pissed. A lady in a mobile scooter ran me over, pinned me up against a post, then huffed at me in reverse and drove off. My niece got her head stuck between the metal bars and the fence while waiting in line for the Haunted Mansion. People were taking pictures as they stepped over her. They ended up sending the Disneyland Fire Department to come bend the bars to free. People are stepping over her? Well, I mean, okay, I probably would too, because you spent all that money and you want to get into the ride. My aunt and uncle took my younger cousin and me to Disneyland. When we were walking in the entrance, my cousin ran out in front of my aunt and accidentally tripped her. My aunt took 4 or 5 huge tripping steps, then landed straight on her stomach, bouncing a couple of times before she stopped. Her purse flew up in the air and the contents of her purse flew everywhere. She started screaming at the top of her lungs that she couldn't breathe, to which my uncle replied, "If you can scream, you can breathe." So many cast members and guests were gathered to watch the very dramatic scene of a woman tripped by her own flesh and blood. I had to wait until things calmed down to hysterically laugh. That's so like a guy. You could be like in a life-altering situation and they would say some kind of comment like, "If you can scream, you can breathe." I like thrill rides. Well, I sat next to my brother-in-law and this sweet 80-year-old lady. It's gonna give her like an aneurysm. 80-year-old lady. When the first drop came, I grabbed onto who I thought was my brother-in-law. When the lights came on, I was holding on to the lady sitting next to me for dear life. I apologized and she had a good laugh. She said she was glad someone reached for her so she didn't have to hold on to someone too. 80 years old. About 15 years ago, we had a lovely lunch in Epcot. I won't mention the restaurant's name. And soon after, I started going downhill fast. Food poisoning at its best. Hubby had to push me out of Epcot in my kid's stroller. Things got much worse and ended up in the ER with an IV. Made it back to the resort for a little sleep while the family hit the parks. After several hours of sleep, I decided I wanted some dry toast and some kind of sports drink. Slowly made my way to the food court, found sports drinks and bread. While standing waiting for the toaster, my stomach started making noises, oh no, that only a person who was possessed by some demon could make. The guy waiting in line beside me just kind of glanced and took a small step away from me. A big rumble hit, and I think everyone in the food court looked at me. Then it happened. Myself at the drink station in the Pop Century food court. The best part was the lady filling up her cup heard the wonderful bubbling sound and slowly walked away. That was the longest walk back to the room ever. Wouldn't call it embarrassing, but one year my mom rented an electric scooter chair because she has MS and walking through the parks is a lot for her. In California Adventure, they serve alcohol, so while my siblings and I were waiting in line for the ride, she was zooming around the park in her scooter with a glass of red wine in one hand. One person saw her and commented, "Now that's how you do Disney." We were at the Magic Kingdom in 1992 when my daughter was 4. He walked up to one of the characters in a long dress and lifted it up and looked up her dress. My brother had a fart machine. He put it in my mom's purse and she had no idea. We went into the tiki room and he just kept pushing it the entire time. Everyone was looking at my mom. Niece and I went to the teacup ride and she said she feels drunk and I'm about to throw up. Mind you, she's only 2 at the time. Okay. She had nothing to eat or drink before the ride. Then mind you, I was told to pick her up because her newborn baby brother at the time was in a stroller. So I picked her up, put her on my shoulders, and not even 2 seconds later, she threw up all over my head. And what was the worst part is that I was yawning. Shorts were riding up while walking around the park, and this older man gave me a dirty look and said this isn't the place for that. Sometime. I'm gonna read that one more time. My shorts were riding up while walking around the park, and this older man gave me a dirty look and said this isn't the place. This isn't the place for that. I tripped on the train tracks and sprained my ankle. My boyfriend had to push me in a wheelchair while I iced my ankle. To me, it was more embarrassing that I fell. Those train tracks are very dangerous. I have tripped many, many times on there. Luckily, blessed, I have not sprained anything or broke anything. At dinner at Cinderella's castle, Snow White was the first princess to come to our table. Went to greet my 2-year-old son, and when she said, "Hello, little prince," he replied, "Eat, princess." 2 years ago, I broke my ankle. During recovery, I would use an electric scooter to get around Disneyland. While leaving the park, driving down Main Street, my scooter wheel got stuck in the tracks. See? Those tracks are dangerous. It was so wedged in that Disneyland maintenance had to come and remove it. Side note, this was during rush hour as the fireworks show had just ended. Once removed, the front wheel was completely shredded. Disney crew had to push my scooter all the way to our car. Luckily, they placed me in a wheelchair and pushed me aside. Going to be the last one. We went when I was around 11 or 12 and we were walking up some steps at downtown Disney around Halloween time, so lots of people around. I took the first step and proceeded to fall from the first step all the way down into the arms of a security guard. Thank you so much for watching this video. I truly enjoyed your guys' stories. They were hilarious, they were gross, but they were fun. We just need laughter in this time, especially since we're all stuck at home and the parks are closed. I didn't get to a lot of them, so I'll probably be making a part 2. If you have a funny story, comment below. I'd love to read it.